And my mic is live. Good morning. It's Sunday morning. You're watching Art of Rock. We get here every Sunday morning and we talk about rock and roll and making art and everything. Normally I'm going to go through and do a whole bunch of pimps, but I'm not going to this morning because my internet is broken. It's a long story. And if anybody's on Twitch, make sure this is working because I have no idea. I'm going to throw the mics open. We're going to jump straight into this. The question came from Aaron, but just before we do, I want to wish MTV TV a happy birthday because they just turned 1. Is it today? MTV TV is the place, and after this we're going to raid to MTV TV because your favorite band is waiting for you there. I have seen so many bands, it's like, I want to remix you guys, you're awesome. MTV TV, it rocks. Also join Angelspit's Patreon because it's pretty rocking, and even if you don't, it doesn't matter, just hang around and maybe let us teach you and learn from each other and stuff. And I'm going to shut up now. Aaron, shoot me with your question.
Hey, so I know people, they always focus on the big release planning, etc. But when you do decide to launch, you gotta center it around that crowdfunding anchor point. So in short, what are the pros and cons of Kickstarter versus Indiegogo versus what WTF, whatever you're using? Crowdfunder pros cons, because I know some of them are like, hey man, you got a goal of $100 and you reach 99.99 cents, it ain't going. But other crowdfunders are like, you did it, here's your 99.99. So yeah, that's my question.
All right, I'll shoot my mouth off if that's okay. That's a really good question, thank you. I think if your main audience is in the United States, go with Kickstarter. If your main audience is equally all over the world, go with Indiegogo, because I hope this isn't a generalization, but I have noticed still a lot of Germans don't like credit cards, and a lot of these sites, like for example Kickstarter, and guys are nodding their head. Kickstarter relies on credit cards. Excuse me. Therefore, not everyone in those countries is going to get. Is going to be welcoming to it. There's a lot of direct bank transactions in Germany, and it's really secure. Good job, guys. So that's how a lot of that happens. Indiegogo is a lot more open to the way people can pay them. For you, I would be suggesting Kickstarter. The fucker with Kickstarter is, if you don't make it, like you said, if you're short 3 cents, you don't get paid. With Indiegogo, you will get paid, but you get a higher fee rate. I think the fee rates are basically the same. Indiegogo has got a lot better over the years. Kickstarter's kind of got better over the years. Kickstarter's resting on its laurels a little bit, I think. Kickstarter also has a spread. Like, Kickstarters work really well because I've done a bunch of Kickstarters for me. And therefore, I've slowly been building up a Kickstarter audience. So even if I host someone else's Kickstarter on my Kickstarter, everyone's going to learn about it. Or if somebody else is doing a Kickstarter, aka you, and I send out a thing to my backers and say, hey, check out this Kickstarter, it's awesome, it might push Kickstarter audience to them. Now, here's something interesting about Kickstarter, is that Kickstarter audience goes there to buy. And that's what's excellent about it. It's like Etsy or Bandcamp. People go there to purchase your stuff and to give you a go. The problem with Kickstarter also, Kickstarter is that, unfortunately, a lot of people don't fulfill their orders. I shouldn't say a lot, but there's quite a few. They take the money and run. And it's kind of common. So you're dealing with a situation where people are going to be saying they're going to need hard evidence that you send stuff out. And that will be in the shape of, I've done several Kickstarters so far, or I'm working with people who have done several Kickstarters so far, or I run a merch store and I do this stuff all the time and I know all about sending out large volumes of merchandise. Because when you do a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo, the amount of logistics afterwards is crazy. It's really, really amazing. You're going to do 20 times, you're going to do a year's worth of orders or 6 months worth of orders that you would normally do in a web store in a few weeks. So you need to know about shipping, you need to know about packaging, you need to know about all of this stuff, and most importantly, you need to have an organizational method where you're going to be able to say, this dude is getting this, and this t-shirt in size X in their package. This person is getting a signed CD. It will be made out to such and such in their package. The credits that are on the CD, I use a database. I've designed a database. The back end of Kickstarter isn't actually that good. It's really fucking complicated. And I will spend a day going through and actually manually inputting, like half of it is a mechanical pull-in, like a data pull-in, but there's a lot of it where I'm actually sitting down, triple checking that everything's right. Then I click a button on the database, and if somebody, for example, hasn't sent me the size of their t-shirt, and that's a problem because you can't do your t-shirt run until you have all the sizes. And with the glass jar thing right now, where there's 3 different types of hoodies. The hoodies are a strange size, like they're one size too small, so I can't make an assumptive guess. I need their information. It's got to go to and plus they're going to have their name on some of them. Will have their name written on it. So there is a lot of number crunching going on. Did that person want a diorama? Didn't they want a diorama? So in answer to your question, because I just went way off topic, the first question is, well, the first answer is I would be going with Kickstarter because your audience is predominantly American. The minimum is $1,000, but if you do it right, you'll probably hit that. In fact, you'll probably hit that quite easily. I highly recommend that you don't go, oh, this is going to be great, $5,000, because you don't know what the market is doing. That's why whenever I do one, it's $2,000 or $3,000 because I don't know. I don't know. Will they like the t-shirt? Will they like the hoodie? Will they da-da-da-da-da-da? Also, remember when you're doing one of these campaigns, people spend on average, like the bell curve, where people spend the most, here's Rose, is about $30. So it's the t-shirt and the CD grouped together for $30 is the hot thing. It is mission critical going into this. Hi, Rose, we're talking about Kickstarters. It is mission critical that you know exactly how much the postage is going to be. Plus, like, you need to weigh this shit, then put it into stamps.com or the UPS pack and send, and actually find out what it is. Plus, you need to factor in the cost of the envelope and all of that stuff as well. So if you're offering free shipping, make sure that is built into the price. Be aware that USPS raises the prices. They're raising their prices quite a bit at the moment, like 5% every now and then. So build a little tiny bit more into it. People want a Kickstarter to be a whole bunch of stuff bundled together for a cheap price. But speaking as somebody who's done a lot of Kickstarters, it's not always easy to do that. Because, you're forking out the shipping, you're forking out constructing stuff, and it's like, okay, I'm ranting now. If you print 50 t-shirts, you're going to pay $5 per t-shirt. But if you print, because that's like a quantity cutoff. But if you're only printing 40, it's going to be, or 35, it's going to be $8 per. Because the more bulk you print of something, the cheaper it gets. So therefore, knowing that, you have to make an assumption of what you're going to be selling that t-shirt for, and therefore your profit margin, because that comes down to profit. And there is nothing wrong with artists, musicians making money. There's nothing wrong at all with that, because everybody else gets to make money, so do artists and musicians. So it's okay to talk about profit, and it's okay to talk about printing a $5 t-shirt and selling it for $20. There's nothing wrong with that. Your fans want you to make money because they want you to stick around. It's your head that keeps going, no, it's wrong that I talk about that it's a sellout or some stupid bullshit. So you have to go into this making a whole bunch of. You also have to factor your time into this as well, because you are going to spend 4 days solid watching Star Trek movies while you're doing orders. And I suggest it's stuff you've watched 1,000 times, because you don't want to get involved and fuck the orders up. And you know, signing merch and doing all of that stuff, it's really fun. Aaron, I'm sorry, go. I'm off topic.
No, it's all good. I thought I'd help and embolden the process. Yeah, I mean, I've backed a lot of Kickstarters, to say the least, and whenever possible, I go big or go home. I think it's a unique experience. If you tailor it right, I know people will garner support and be like, fuck yes, because this is literally a piece of history, and I want the thing. I want the thing that's not in the shop. I want, you know, the original, whatever, the ancillary product that I could hold that is not, you know, just going to be released at a future date or cheapened, you know, or if it is, it's years down the road. But I think, yeah, if you embolden the inherent value and you update people, like me personally, and quite a few friends I have, we have infinite patience for the process. If people are like, fuck, you know, I sent these to the print house, but the colors aren't right. Or I got this demo back and it's just not working. As long as you keep people in the loop, they seem to have a lot more grace, instead of, well, I don't know what the fuck happened at Kickstarter, but it's been 5 months and they ain't said shit. You know, I think that's where you draw the line, is if all of a sudden you just go dark and you disappear off the planet. You know, that's when, yeah. And that's what I want to say is one of my ugly sides of Kickstarter. Like you said, people could just take the money and run. I think it's horse shit. And they put a little disclaimer as a cover your ass measure, just to say, you know, just because you're spending money on a thing doesn't mean you might actually get it. You may not receive a thing, you know. Sorry. That's the only, like, the ugly side of it. But I think, yeah, if you give a shit about what you do and you're good about communication and you want to give people more bang for their buck, well, you know, I definitely think, I dig on the whole crowdfunder atmosphere. But yeah, I know it's gonna be a lot of work. I'm probably gonna invite people over for a pizza party and be like, by the way, we're also packing boxes.
Okay. At this point, I want to throw the floor open to anybody who's actually backed a Kickstarter, and more to the point, tell me about your dream Kickstarter. What's your dream Kickstarter? Like, what is it that you've done a Kickstarter, or you've backed a Kickstarter and you've seen something really cool, you like it? Because let me just give you some background. With the Ice Planet 9000, I'm working with Brent, he's my Jedi Master. I've known him for 1,000 years. Actually, he used to do merch for Ministry, KMFDM. I actually met him when KMFDM was on stage in Australia, like 18 years ago. And he backs a lot of Kickstarters, and he's said that, you know, it's common for something happen and you don't get your merch. And what was interesting with my experience with doing Glass Jar with Brent, because it's his project, was having it from the perspective of someone who is into cool stuff. And he has a lot of friends who are into cool stuff, because my whole thing is, I'm poor, most of my friends are poor, therefore what I'm aiming for is a market of people who want to support you, but they don't have a large expendable income. Whereas Brent's circle of influence do have an expendable income. So for him to come back at me and say, no, you can do this for $500 and you can give them this one-off experience for $500 is totally foreign to me, because I don't exist in a world where I can do things that's a cool experience, because I can't afford that. So it was good because we had these two very different mindsets, and I think we built something really successful because we came from two different places. So, Rob, your hands up first. I want to know tell me about your dream Kickstarter. Teach us.
Yeah, I've done quite a few. I've backed a lot of Kickstarters, and my experience is people who do Kickstarters are usually they don't consider themselves professionals at design, development, production, and shipping. So Kickstarter is a great avenue because it gets them one of the key components, which is cash. whether they get the cash in a timely manner or not, I'm not sure, because I haven't run a Kickstarter myself, but Carl can talk to that later. But what I do find is that successful Kickstarters get massively oversubscribed, and it's great to jump on a Kickstarter when they're massively overly subscribed, because you can see that there is a lot more potential for success. So if they're aiming for $4,000 and they get $330,000, like one of the ones I'm backing at the moment, it's like, well, how many stretch objectives can they possibly fit in? So the stretch objectives will go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've seen stretch objectives go out to 10 levels, and they've met them all because they got the funding. The challenge is the more stretch objectives, the more time it takes away from getting the core product out the door. And I've had a couple of Kickstarters that took, no kidding, 3 years to deliver. Yeah, Carl?
Could I ask you a question on the subject of stretches? Is when you see a stretch, have you ever increased your bid?
You want to, as a Kickstarter, you want to actually advertise your stretch objectives up front, because that's incentive and motivation for people to go higher.
So you're saying that you would prefer that but when it launches,
mm-hmm.
have the stretches then?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Thank you.
Because what people do is I'll say, oh, you'll get a hard copy for this price, you get a digital for this price. For a little bit more, you get hard copy and digital. If the stretch objective gives you, some exclusive video footage and you want the digital version of it to play at home, or, you want to get a Patreon subscription for 6 months or a Twitch subscription of your channel for 6 months as a stretch objective, if you go that next tier up, I look at it and go, that's freaking worth it. I love this guy, or this girl. And I'm gonna double down every time to get the extra merch.
Okay, so just to clarify, I'm not talking about the tier rewards. I'm talking about, okay, well, we want 10 grand, but if we hit 20 grand, that's stretch. That's what are we talking about the same thing?
I'm talking about both.
Okay, cool.
Because level 1, I might go, yeah, okay, level 1's cool. I just get a digital version of the album. But if there's a stretch objective where you get a signed LP, I might go, maybe I should go level like tier 2 and get the LP. And that way the stretch objective, I get the signed LP. That's really cool. And if he's going to be mailing stuff out, maybe I want the stretch objective of the poster as well, because I can bundle all the postage. And so instead of just getting digital, then there's the cost of the postage on the poster. And these are the things that I actually think through and say, which one is the best value? People like to shop. People like to get good value, and they're excited when you hit those marks. All
right, I'm sorry. Can I ask you another question? And that is, if the tier said, this tier you'll pay $60, but it's worth $80, would that be attractive to you?
Yeah. Wow. I'd absolutely go and weigh them all up and say, which is the best deal for me? And I know what my budget is, but actually, if it's not going to draw it out for another 3 months, then I can back it now, and I can go the extra tier, and I'll work it out when I get there. I'll be able to afford it when I get there. And I've actually backed things that I couldn't afford. So you get to like 3 months later, and one of them was Theory Board. It's a synth keyboard that does different musical programming stuff. And I went for the upscale tier, and by the time they hit my credit card, I realized, I don't have enough money for this extra tier. So they texted me or emailed me and said, do you want to drop back to the normal tier if you're having problems paying? And I said, yeah, sure. And they said, well, actually, if you just pay the lower tier now, we will get you the better product anyway, but it's going to take a little bit longer. You'll be in the back of the orders. So I went, I'm doing it. I'm taking that. That's an awesome deal. So there was a lot of negotiation even after you'd made the pledge on what you would get and when you would get it. And as long as you communicate, that's the most important thing. So, Carl, you're sending emails out saying, what did you order, just to confirm, is this all cool? That's awesome, because if it's radio silence after you pledge, that makes everybody nervous.
All right, Rob, thanks. I wish we had this conversation a few years ago. Thank you. Alex.
I think I'm like the complete opposite of Rob. Like, I only back crowdfunding campaigns because I want to support the project, and I want the project to exist in the world. I usually don't pledge much because I don't have that much money, but it's usually just for the product itself. I think the only one I wanted it for the product was when you did your Blipword Indiegogo. But other than that, I hate when I get the project like 3 years later. So I usually just pledge because I want the thing to exist. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Maz.
Hi. So if we're talking about dream Kickstarters, I can show off this toy that I got on Kickstarter, which is like a MIDI keyboard that does isometric stuff, which is sort of neat. And like, I think the thing that would make it better, because like I knew what I was getting into when I got it. I was like, okay, this is like sort of a weird experiment. And like I just really like the idea of like playing isometrically, so it's worth it to me. And they had like they had a fancier version that was made of wood, and I was like, I'll just get the plastic one. And what I really wish they did was have more like support afterwards for like the community, and like maybe like having an actual program on like a software support. But they sort of just like put out their stuff and ended it there, and like are not even posting anywhere about it, which is like, that's fine. I got what I expected, but I sort of wish that was a little more. And what I do really like is like a unique art object or a unique experience, because it's also like the timing of it and the idea that like you're getting in on something that is not going to be available. Like even if it is available, it's not going to be available at this price, because like you're really making it happen. And that was what I really thought was cool about the glass jar one, is I made sure to get the vinyl with the diorama, because like when else are you going to see that? That's like the coolest thing. Oh, so cool.
That's unfinished, but thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's sort of what I look for in Kickstarters. It's just really cool to be like a part of something that like maybe not everyone knows about, and get in on that. And then also like with the point of like upgrading your pledge and all that, it is really nice to have the stretch goals like out front, and like,
so just to clarify, when it launches, they'll say here are the tiers, but also here are the stretch goals.
Yeah. And
okay.
Like I've seen stuff like, okay, if we're like maybe if we get this stretch goal, then like I'm gonna throw in a keychain for every order, which is like really exciting to like get on it early. And then you get those email updates of like, hey, we hit the stretch goal, everyone's getting a little bonus. And that also gives you incentive to like, I'm gonna tell my friends, I'm gonna post about this, because I want more people on this, and I want us all to benefit from it, kind of thing.
Thank you. Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever gone in and then upped your pledge?
Oh, I'm trying to think of all the things I've kickstarted over the years. I don't think I have done that, because I just sort of like, I don't know, I don't have the highest income, so I'm just sort of like, if I can get a piece of this, I'm happy, and I'm just sort of happy to be like part of it. And
right.
Yeah. So yeah.
There's a group pledging behavior.
Ooh.
Where you and your buddies say, do you want to go all in on the top tier? And you share the money in contribution. Basically, everyone gives their money to one person. That one person bids the top tier, pledges the top tier. And then you decide how you're going to divvy out the spoils. That happens a lot in my group.
Wow. You know, That's really interesting because with that in mind, Aaron and Rose and anybody else, doing a crazy top tier that involves 4 t-shirts, 4 hoodies, 4 CDs, and a Zoom meeting. So it's like it's set up for a group.
Yeah, that'd be super good value.
That's a great idea.
Hell yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Maz. Grim.
Call it the groupie tier.
Groupie tier.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, to Rob's point too. You know, there's plenty of times where time changes a lot. You know, all of a sudden you get an email that says, or you log into Kickstarter and it says, hey, this project that you backed's got 4 days left, and you're like, dumb fucking shit. You know, and you'll find yourself, or at least I do, scrolling through the tiers and be like, did I miss anything? Is there a bonus bump? Is there, oh, gee, they got 3 stretch goals, kick ass. And I'll start to see things, but I start to think, just like Zook said, people like to shop. That's true on the digital platform on Kickstarter as well. I have a near dear friend that supports Grimm and films with me and the whole 9. And even though Angelspit's not 100% his bag, so to speak, musically, he knows the love that I have for it. And when he decided to back the Kickstarter like a true ace, he freaking got me this.
Wow.
So, you know, again, there's times that other people, you know, the more that you share it, or when all of a sudden time becomes a factor and they got 4 days left to do the fucking thing, and they see that something's not claimed yet, but they'd be like, you know what? I got a friend or somebody who would love that, or these badass posters are going to be one-of-a-kind art, and they're going to be a gift for a friend or family member. Like, that's cool as shit. But it's all about, I mean, I think it's more and more about marketing, but it's, I guess I could just say, like, the timing, you know, in the several months to where you might restage or earn some extra money or set something aside, you know, or trim your budget a little bit, but to flex everything toward Kickstarter to be like, you know what? I want all the shiny things. You know, I have a silver skull key. I want a gold skull key, and I want to fucking like unlock all the badass shit. So, but yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, man. Hey, Mez, just really quick question. Do you still have that drum machine? No, yeah, just, you don't, you fucking sell it, I swear to God. To anyone except me. Do you still have it?
It is behind me somewhere.
Yeah, don't let it go. It's a fucking classic. Don't you dare let it go. It's a bloody classic. Yeah, you use it for, and run it through a distortion pedal. It's great.
That's an evil giggle too.
Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you, Grim. That was really good. This is great. Alex, what you got?
I just wanted to add that personally, if the stretch goals are too ambitious, it more deters me than encourages me, because then I'm worried that the people won't be able to fulfill them. But maybe that's just a me thing. But I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Whoa. All right. This has been really good intel. If anybody else has something they want to throw in about Kickstarters, I've actually only backed one, and he didn't fill it. He didn't give a fuck, and it's really weird. Ironically, it's sort of put this really strange perspective for me, because, you know, my experience with Kickstarter was bad, so I'm always kind of... It's funny, sometimes I'm really worried that my Kickstarters are too mathematical and too thing, but when my experience has been somebody who didn't fill it, I want people to go from the get-go, okay, it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but it's going to get filled. Alex, your hand.
Honestly, I think yours are the better ones, because yours are already on plan and they have they're good scheduled, and I feel like you have a solid idea of what you're doing. But like, I backed a game and they said it would be there in a year, and it ended up being 3 years, and I'm happy that it exists in the first place and I got my copy. So I think, yeah.
All right, thank you. I just want to touch on that. Firstly, Grim, Rose, well, you guys, whenever you guys do your Kickstarter, we did a I've got a timeline thing. Do you remember the time schedule thing we did? I have one specifically for Kickstarters. So talk to me before you do it. You've got to remember that it's 2 weeks.
Doubt.
2 weeks from the end of the Kickstarter to when you get your money. Maybe 3 weeks. 2.5 weeks. And you can't start printing merch until you have their details. And that's at least 2 weeks. It takes a month to do the merch, and it could take a month to get it to their hand. So that's a month and a month. We'll call it another month and another month. That's 4 months. From when it begins to when it's safely guaranteed to be in their hands. So I will always say, if I'm expecting something seriously to hit them in February, I'll say March, April. Oh, hey guys, good news, it came early. That's all I got to say. Rose.
So I haven't backed a lot of Kickstarters, but the one I did back was yours. And when I saw that it was only $25 more for you to meet your goal, I was gonna originally get something a little cheaper, but then I was like, nah, fuck it. You know, I'm gonna get the. I was like, I want it to get past. I'm like, it's right there. It's right there. Screw it. You know, and it was great. You know, it was a great experience because you sent me the stuff on time. There was a really cute, like, sweet note in there, and it was dope, man. Like I was really happy that I did it. I'm always down to support you all the time. I always try to like buy your merch and stuff like that because I understand as a musician that that's how musicians make their money. It's like I've never asked you to give me your music for free. I'm like, no, let me buy your shit. Even when you've offered, I'm just like, no.
Yeah,
Here,
I remember.
Take my money. I was like, take my money. Take it.
No, I appreciate that. And when you guys, Hack, we can kick this out as much as you want today. And then Rose, when you're lining up to do your Kickstarter and anyone else, let's focus on this. Let's spend the Sunday just going, okay, because I've got Excel sheets for figuring out the merch, figuring out the shipping, all of that stuff. Like, it will go through, it will add everything up, it'll add Kickstarter's fees and PayPal's fees. Remember that if they pledge $20, you're probably only going to get $15 because of the fees, maybe $16 or $16.50 because of the fees. And that's the other thing, is that it's worth $20, but I'm going to sell it to you for $15. And in actual fact, now I'm only getting $12. And if the cost price is $10, I get $2. This is the maths you have to take in mind. And I've got, I've had this conversation with so many people about how, okay, you're delivering something digital. Oh, just throw it in for free with the CD. And it's like, well, because it doesn't cost you anything. And it's like, well, it does. And this is actually your opportunity to make money from nothing, because you know how the rest of the world is making lots of money from nothing, or they go to their jobs and they fucking read their book or something. Musicians don't get to do that. So maybe your fans want you to have a freebie. Maybe they want you to say, yeah, man, if the t-shirt's $20 and the MP3 is normally $10, but it's $5, yes, I'll give you that $5 for digital vapor, because you fucking deserve it. And also, please remember that digital vapor, there is an amount of administration and everything else built into that. You have to pull the download code from Bandcamp. You have to assign it to somebody. You have to import that into MailChimp. Then you have to send out individual emails to every single person via MailChimp, making sure it has their name, a thank you, a message, and a download code. That time takes time, and you deserve to get paid for that. So, yeah. Maz, all those keyboards you've got now.
Oh my god, I have...
What's the top one?
Oh my god, this is my, one of my 4 Yamaha.
Oh.
I have
They're really good if you distort them.
Oh, I have my 480 somewhere. I don't know. I'm not gonna turn this into Oh my god! And then I have my keytar. Sorry,
Ah!
I could go off on this, but I'm not.
Everyone got excited about the keytar. No,
I
the
love
serious.
it.
Run the drums of the keytar through distortion.
The drum directly into the keytar.
Yeah, no, the drums, the keytar. It's got a little boop boop chip boop 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 chip drums on it, right?
Yeah.
Put them through distortion.
Oh,
Put it through a pedal. Yes. It will blow your mind. It's like, oh my god, this thing cranks.
Okay, I have to like raid my partner's pedal board. And
Do it. Like just a Boss one. Get a Boss
Yeah.
something, and make sure the gain's low. We're gonna do a talk soon. Thank you again, Vince, about distortion, because I've learned a lot about distortion. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Kickstarters and musicians making money so they can sell and they can buy more keyboards and distortion pedals. Go.
I just wanted to like make an observation that there's like a million ways to use Kickstarter, and like some people sort of like I think the original idea is sort of like as a project thing for like people that are making prototypes of stuff, and like yeah, it works for that, but like it's also found its niche as like a place for artists to like I think Angelspit has been successful with it because like obviously you've had experience selling merch, selling CDs and all that, and just like brought that together into like sort of a time restrained thing of like, this is how I'm going to sell this album at this time and get everyone on it, instead of like, okay, just let people buy albums as they want. And I think that works great. And then like other artists will use it in different ways. I also recently backed one that was it's literally just a group that started doing like dance class online during the pandemic. So they were like, we're gonna do a Kickstarter so we can do another season of this. And I was like, that sounds cool. Like people need this, so I'm totally down to like pay $25 and like they're gonna throw me a link to one of the classes. Like, so yeah, and like people can be like as ambitious as they want. If it doesn't go through, it doesn't go through. But like, it's also really good to have like a really realistic approach to it, and like be like, okay, if I do this, this, and that, and the numbers, then like it should work out as well as like selling merch. That they're all good ways to do it. Depends on what you want to do. So, yeah.
Awesome. And if I can also say, every time you do a new album, or whatever it is you do, it needs a reason. Like, hey, it's not just this is the 10th album. It's, okay, we're going to be exploring this now. We're going to be exploring this now. We've talked here about, the concept behind the albums. People want to hear that, and you turn that into a sales pitch. And that sales pitch is for your fan base and also for the media. They want to go, oh, it's not just another album. It's, okay, let's talk about Black Lives Matter. Let's talk about the growing underclass. Let's talk about what the fuck is going on right now. And it's not just, for example, maybe you run a 24-hour non-stop goth industrial web a streaming TV show on Twitch called MTV TV. Maybe what MTV TV needs to do is do a Kickstarter and say, it's been such a successful year, let's forge ahead to another year, and we're going to be offering t-shirts and all of these different things, all of these different physical merch items to make MTV TV get a Kickstarter. Rob,
if we're talking about MTV TV, I probably have a bunch of input about that.
Yeah, well, I'd love to. I think it's an interesting idea. Diana, I've been on your case about this for bloody months. And Adams and the hat. It's this is the sort of thing exactly that a Kickstarter is all about, is saying, okay, we're going to forge ahead for a second year of MTV TV or our project, and we need your help, and here are some incentives. Like the t-shirt might say, how many seconds in a year? We've been streaming for whatever million seconds that is. I don't know. Grim, go.
So what? Oop.
Oh, you had me going and then you skipped me.
Oh,
That's
Rob,
all right.
I'm sorry. Oh, Rob, go.
Yeah, that's
I
all right.
yield my time. I yield the floor to Rob.
I'm so sorry.
Make sure you're believable and tangible. So believability is important, because if you're a creator in Kickstarter, nobody knows who you are necessarily, and they want a reason to believe that you're going to deliver. So having some of your merch, however you mock those pictures up or videos up, have some advertising video clips that talk about your merch and show that it's real. Hold things in your hand like Carl's diorama, or the hoodie. Hold it in your hand so people understand that they're going to get something real. And magically, having things ready when you launch is bonus. So it's like, okay, we've already developed this first thing, but the stretch objectives we're going to work during the Kickstarter. That's really guaranteed because I want to buy it because I know I'm going to get it because he's already got it in his hand. What's even super bonus is if somebody gives you a recommendation. So have somebody talk about the album that you did last time and why this next album is going to kick ass. Talk about some of the cool things about the merch and say, Pink Floyd never did this, Led Zeppelin never did this, but look what he's doing. You know, have somebody else convince you that this is awesome to back. That's really important. That's all.
Aaron, I'm going to throw it to you. I just have to deal with the cat. I'll be right back.
Yeah, one thing I'll also throw out is we haven't really dabbled in yet is I would definitely not underestimate your fan base. If you have a good following on your Twitch, your Patreon, your what have you, I don't think there's really any harm in if people that directly support you, you kind of have a think tank. In other words, you could throw it out in a survey form to say, what would you guys like to see? Like, I think a good prominent example of that is there's a Dark Alice series of games and imagery from American McGee. And it's Alice Madness Returns and then subsequent installments. But he just started fielding questions out to the general public and was like, what do you want to see? If you can get your hands on something, what do you want? And some people were like, I want a coin with the Cheshire Cat, or I want posters, or I want stuffed animals of a macabre nature. And so he got to a point where I think it's amazing. It's brilliant. Like it's literally, okay, on top of the digital updates I'm giving you and on top of this rolling crowdfunder, because he's trying to roll into another game and all the primer building up to that new game is, you know what? I'm going to give you sketch diaries. I'm going to give you the inside look, the concept art, etc. But in the meantime, every few months, I'm going to kick a poster out your way and you can choose which one it is, and I know that gets complicated, but the point would be, I think it's constructive to tap into your supporter base already to help kind of front load some ideas for what you might push out to Kickstarter, because they already know your deal. But if you want to share it to other people, your inner circle could be like, yeah, you might want to do ABC, But
Excellent.
Sorry if that's scatterbrained, but anyway.
Thank you. I want to jump in after you, Rose. Go.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought that up because I'm a big fan of those Alice games, and I totally follow them, and I've seen them put up some really cool stuff for like embroidered patches, like really cool stuff, like tapestries even of their artwork. They kind of change it around every month or so. It's really pretty dope. I think that they're very in tune with their fans and stuff. They know what they want, so they listen and they make really cool stuff for it. And that's definitely a lesson that all of us can move forward with. I have a lot of crazy ideas for Kickstarters, but I'm still working on making stuff that's like a little bit more feasible because my imagination is way too strong. So I feel like I could come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. So I have to like scale it down to like what's actually doable. But yeah, I've been thinking about doing a Kickstarter for a long time. So this is a really good conversation. All right, that's it.
Thank you. All right, so including stuff that is a part of the process that you're doing, for example, working sketches or working lyrics that are framed, great idea. As far as going into other things that you don't specialize in, you guys probably know I have a problem with that. I have a problem with stuff that's a bit too cool. And my problem with that is that you might end up having to remember, firstly, there's only one of you. Unless you have this amazing team, there's only one of you. So during the Kickstarter campaign, what you're really going to be doing is pimping the shit out of this thing, keeping it bubbling, and that's a full-time job. When you start trying to figure out stretch goals during the Kickstarter and cool stuff and doing cool stuff, not focusing on, really, ultimately, I've only sold this to the client base of this is 20 people. There's only 30 people, for example, that have backed this thing. It is a higher priority for you not to be worrying about cool stretch goals and for you to be hitting the ground trying to get more people into this project. Because marketing is boring, marketing sucks, pimping is boring, pimping sucks. We don't like doing it. We like coming up with cool, fun shit. But the problem is that it's not the time. The time for cool back shit was back there. If you like, that little bunny looked super cool, Grim. I loved it. And or laser cut jewelry or all of this other stuff that Angelspit's done. Angelspit doesn't do that shit. Angelspit makes music. And I have learned, and it might be the same for you, that my core income comes from music. That's the biggest pie chart, and I'm doing my text now, and it's the same thing. Physical downloads, streaming, selling stuff, via the Kickstarter. It's music. The second thing is merchandise, and that's standard typical merchandise like t-shirts and hoodies and standard typical stuff. My thing is that because I'm not very good at doing this other stuff, it takes a lot of time, and because of the sale price of it, I can't afford to pull somebody else into it because that's pushing the cost of it up, which means the profit margin becomes less, which means why the fuck am I doing this? So it's a thing I always see bands do with Kickstarters, and don't hit my keyboard. Hold on. Thanks, babe. You're the best. Is they will, they'll do all of these little things like, whatever. All these cool little random things. But your strength is not doing random things. Your strength is making music. And it's with the highest of recommendation that you are supplying stock standard pieces of merchandise that can be mass produced, because you only make one of them and then you mass produce them. It's not doing a hands-on thing, creating this special thing and then selling it, unless you really want to. Understand that my ulterior motive is that you make money in a manner that is as economical as possible. And the trick with a Kickstarter is like, maybe your Kickstarter is going to go off and you might go, yeah, I'll make one or two of these elaborate crazy things. And you're doing 1 or 200 at the end of it. And I've been in a situation where I've had to do a few dozen things that I didn't really want to do. And they were a pain in the ass. And I had to drive all over town finding frames and all of this other stuff. And I just went, I'm never fucking doing this again because time, money, this isn't worth it. I want to be writing fucking music right now. I want to be doing a remix. Take it or leave it. That's just some of my own personal experience with this. You do music, so sell the music. Rose, your hands up.
Okay, here I am. Sorry. It's actually funny because my crowd right now actually seems more interested in everything except the music. So my experience has been a little bit different. I've been doing a lot of jewelry sales at shows and things like that, and but I did find a really cool. I think I've brought this up before. This is something that's like mass produced. It's a little chainsaw and it says "Killing It." This is an acrylic pin. It has like a little backing guy there. Sorry, my background is messing it up, but yeah, it has a little like lapel pin. This is like the protector. You pull it up and stuff. So this is a cool alternative to like those enamel pins, because enamel pins are very expensive to produce, and you have to buy like a minimum of 100 usually. And they're usually like $4 each. So those get really expensive really fast. For these guys, I think the minimum is only like 10 or 20, and they're quite cheap, and it's really pretty rad, and it's like very sturdy too, because it's like a hard cut acrylic, and they make it really fast as well. I got it from Sticker Mule, so this is something that you guys can think about. They'll cut it into a custom shape for you, and they'll get it to you within 2 weeks. So this is a cool thing that you guys could have for your Kickstarters. You know, if you're not creative, hire an artist for cheap on Fiverr. You know what I'm saying? And have them design something for you. You know, if you're not like creative in that way, but think of something cool that's related. You know, we have like these cross chainsaws as part of our logo. So I decided to just go with it. And, you know, since we're like a horror punk band anyway, I figured our fans would like a little chainsaw, and it says "Killing It" on there, which is pretty rad. Because originally I was gonna make something similar to this out of resin, and I bought a mold, and I was gonna do all that, and then I decided to test this out, and at Sticker Mule, and I was like, actually, this is really badass, and it's really strong. Nobody's complained about it yet. You know, like nobody's come back to me after a show and been like, hey, that pin you know I got from you sucks. You know what I mean? Like it's really sturdy. It's really cool. And this is something that's, you know, that you can just get made, and it'll get to you in 2 weeks, and you can send it out. So cool, creative, easy thing to make.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Grim.
Hey, so I'll make it quick, but I'll say, yeah, I think a huge takeaway, which is good to take on board, I think, to Zoog's point, is just make sure that you don't kind of muddy the waters. I mean, I got a million ideas and stuff that ties into Grim, but yeah, at the end of the day, are you the Grim stuffed animal factory, or are you actually a content, you know, audio and video content provider? So yeah, I think spreadsheets and the like and think tanks will help keep the Kickstarter centered and grounded. But also something we haven't hit yet, which should go without saying, I would say you also need to make sure that you show your appreciation. And I think that's something to take into account with every tier. It doesn't matter if somebody threw in $5 or if they went big and they did like 50, you know what I mean? Appreciation is appreciation, because you have those people, to Alex's point, that want to see your project go. You know, they're just happy to be a spring, you know, in that process. They want to be a spring on that board that'll help launch you, but you got to show your appreciation no matter what, you know, and that could be your handwritten note, or that could be something that, you know, you chuck in the box or, but yeah, showing appreciation, big time.
Thank you. Go ahead.
What insight do you get into your buying audience, Carl, from Kickstarter? How do you know what the demographic is that's buying your stuff?
Okay, hold on a minute. I'm going to answer that. Aaron, can you remind me? I want to talk about defining glass jar and how we had a lot of trouble making people understand what glass jar actually was, because people are going, what the fuck actually is this? Can you pull me back to that point? And I'll also pick up on what you said, that putting a handwritten note in there, and I do that on I do a little card, and it's a little explanation about the thing, and I say thank you. I name the person, and I will think about that person while I'm writing a little card, just say thank you. Rob, so Kickstarter, in the back end, it will tell you their sex, it will tell you their age, and it'll tell you where they're coming from. And that's really, really important information. Did that answer your question? Do you want me to go deeper into that, or?
No, that's good.
They don't really talk about. Oh no, you can like poke them, and some of them you can mention, find out other things they've backed as well. But it will tell you age, sex, location. You know, which is really great there for doing marketing campaigns and stuff. And one thing fascinating about Glass Jar, and I'll pull back to that thing that I was just mentioning to Mr. Grimm, is that we didn't know the audience at all to start with. Didn't have a clue who it was, because it's not it's not it's not the same audience as Angelspit. It's a different audience, and we actually found, interestingly, I think I've mentioned this before, that the audience is the same as the people involved. It was 5 guys aged between 40 and 60, and the bell curve was male 40 to 60 who were into sci-fi, probably a bit of industrial music, Jean-Michel Jarre, technology, da-da-da-da-da. That was the audience. It was exactly who we were. And it's funny that and that's a really important thing to take with you, is that I've learned that you should assume that your audience is the same person you are, so you don't bullshit them and you don't have to become something else. Just be what you want to be. If the core of you is this glamorous thing, then be a glamorous thing. Don't fucking fake it. Okay, so this is a really interesting thing about Glass Jar that we found, is that, so at the core of it, it's a story. It's a 90-minute story about mining for water in deep space. And the guy who's mining it, the Aquesta, finds an alien temple. And then it gets really trippy. Coming with that is this trifold vinyl that's got artwork and everything, and the diorama is all about the storyline. So now we've got the drama, we've got the soundtrack to go with the drama on vinyl, we've got the diorama, then we've got t-shirts and merches and all this other stuff about where you could become do training to become a deep space water mining person. But when we were pimping this, it was really difficult to get across, because the core question is, I'm sorry, what the fuck are you selling? An audio drama, a play set that we put, what is this? And it kept coming back that it's got to be simpler and simpler and simpler and simpler. So at the core, it's a 6-track EP that will come with an audio drama. It is a vinyl. It is a playset. Because Brent has a background in writing. His wife's a PhD in writing. I've written so many. He's written more press releases than I have, and I've written a lot of damn press releases. He is the merch master. I'm pretty fucking good at it. And between us, we were having so much trouble finding the words in a short space to describe what this thing was all about. So if you're doing something beyond music that has a concept to it, you might not want to talk about the concept, or you might want to brush over the concept, because ideally, mostly what you're selling is music. It's a digital download and or a vinyl, and all this other cool shit to go with it. So take it or leave it, and things are happening. I don't know what's going on. Okay, does anybody else want to throw anything in or talk about stuff, or we want to talk about something really heavy today, and we're probably going to do that offline. Does anybody else want to talk about stuff? We were going to talk about bots offline, and the internet is dead offline. Alex!
I have a small thing, but I think we can do it maybe one of the later weeks. I would ask you about zine culture, because I never experienced it.
Zine culture?
Zine culture, yes, because you made zines.
I sure
and
did.
You sent one, and it's something I've never experienced.
Okay.
I mean, like DIY zines.
I'd like to talk about that, because I just bought a zine the other day from The Liar, actually, who's just started a zine. Maz, did you, because that's a big Carl doing a rant, and probably some of the younger members of us who are also into zines jumping in. Maz, did you have something similar you wanted to ask, or?
The only thing I sort of wanted to bring up was just the fact that I've been like watching a lot of goth DJs on Twitch, and I feel like that might tie into like the culture and demographic and all, and how like everyone consumes art kind of thing. But you can go ahead and talk about zines because I want to hear about that.
Tell me more about. Just tell me more about what you're speaking of.
I've just been like noticing that like there's a bit of a boom in just DJs on Twitch just like spinning goth tracks, and like there will be like a bunch of the same people going back and forth, and it's just really cool to see, and it's really cool to like sort of be watching and feel like you're a part of this. And yeah, I just I don't know, I just wanted to sort of bring that topic into the space because I sort of want to see how everyone feels about that kind of thing.
I think it's fantastic, and I think everybody, when you Twitch, you need to raid back to MTV TV. It's really important that we make this base thing happen. And I do want to talk about zines, but I think I love this thing that's happening with Twitch, and I really hope it's here to stay. And I encourage everyone to start fucking putting your art, streaming it out there. There's a lot of different things we can do. Like besides Twitch, but Twitch is kind of really good right now. Anybody else is welcome to jump in, or we can talk about zines, but I do see Rose's hand is up.
Hey, what's up? So yeah, I actually have been watching a bunch of DJs on Twitch also recently because I'm still in the middle of a publicity campaign right now for the new single and remix with Angelspit. Everybody listen to it. Yeah, no. So a bunch of those DJs are also doing stuff on Twitch. So I've been watching like more so than usual, people doing their sets because I'm trying to support. And I do recommend that for anybody. If you get played by somebody, do them a courtesy and go and listen to the show and participate in their chats if they have a chat. You know what I mean? And show your support. Always repost it and share it to your channel. Super important. It's something that's like a basic thing that, basic courtesy that you should do it. They're supporting you, you should support them right back. If possible, So yeah, I've definitely been getting into it, and it's really cool. I just did, the one I recently saw was DJ Live Evil, who was here in Art of Rock chat last week. And it was just rad, like just participating, and other people were into it. And, the more people participate, the more fun it gets, and got to listen to a lot of really cool new stuff that I hadn't heard yet. So that was exciting because I'm always on the lookout for new music. I feel like I kind of have the opposite attitude. Some of my friends are definitely cranky old bastards that only want to listen to like the old, the stuff that they already like. You know what I mean? But I'm all about that new stuff. You know what I mean? Like I really am always seeking it, and I'm always just trying to find something fun and exciting. Because that keeps me going when I hear new stuff that's, that I haven't heard before, and I'm like, yeah, it's like it's awesome, So yeah, I hope that this trend keeps going as well, because I ain't ready to go into no club right now with this Omicron wrecking people. You know what I mean? Like I just got over catching COVID for the second time. It was not fun, So yeah, I'm all about these Twitch DJs. We had like a whole little like rave in our living room. We just like turned off the lights, busted out our flow props, like just danced around. We're like, hey, we can't go to the club, but the club is coming to us, So yeah, I definitely recommend it as musicians yourselves, like a lot of you, you know what I mean? Or even just as listeners, it's just another way that we can keep our scene going, you know what I mean? And keep people inspired to continue to create, because it's freaking hard right now, guys. It is so hard to stay motivated to do what we do when everything is telling you that what you're doing is worthless. You know what I mean? Like what you're doing is not putting food on your table. What you're doing is, you know what I mean? Like this is a very, very difficult time for artists. And, so, we need the support. We need the support as much as you can give, you know what I mean? Even if it's just resharing a post, commenting on a post, you know what I mean? Like if there's, people that you follow and that you like, like and comment on their posts. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is actually. And it really increases the visibility of those posts so that more of their fans get to see it without them having to, market it and put money towards it that they don't have. You know what I mean? So all of those things add up. So please keep doing it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. And remember, if you do something on Twitch, always read back to MTV TV. Yeah, because it's like a constant, non-stop fucking dance party. Bring the dance party to your living room. And then I want to talk to you, Sean. Then I want to talk about fucking zines after Alex talks. Sean!
Hey, I just want to say thank you to Rose for coming out to the show and having a great time. We had a really good time, and I wanted to say thank you to you because that was a kick-ass remix as well, and it did have a killer response. We did there would be Rose, and we did 2 others, and they were all really well received. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an update on that. Really positive, really good. So and also wanted to follow up on what Rose had to say there about liking and commenting. On friends and people you follow, because we all try and promote ourselves, but we also don't want to run into this perception that we're oversaturating ourselves and we're one of these people with like the mega ego that just can't stop posting about ourselves. So it really helps when other people are saying something about you and commenting or liking and what have you, and it's not just us saying this is me. It helps a lot. So thanks to everybody that does that, and I would just encourage everybody to do that as much as you can.
Good on you. Thank you, man. Alex.
I just wanted to add to Rose's point, if you want to boost your friends or people you like on Instagram, the word goes around that saving the post does more for the algorithm than actually liking it. So if you want to boost someone, you should save the post. At least that's what I've heard.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Zines. So, back in the olden days when we had photocopiers, we used to make zines. So everybody who's made a zine, can I just see your hand? All right, my little punk rockers. Zines are awesome because you basically you lay it out and then you photocopy it on both sides, then you cut it up, you fold it, you staple it. And it's a zine. It's a little magazine zine. And traditionally they're really dirty, grungy, gritty stuff. And before the internet, we used to make zines and ship them out to people. Like I've been in bands and they'd, you'd have a zine and you'd have a little interview in there and you'd have some dumb photos and then you'd have all your gigs that are coming up in the next few months and you'd mail it out to people. There was my favorite zine I've ever seen was actually called The Black Book that was in Berlin. And it was this little thing that would fold out and it had every goth gig, industrial gig in Berlin over the coming month. Oh yeah. Schwarzbuchen, I think it was called. And it also had advertising in it as well. And that kept it, that kept it going. And the ads were great because it's like, come into our store, get 10% off, just show your little Schwarzbuch. So zines were fantastic, but they sort of went away because people didn't give a shit anymore. The internet happened. There it is. There's fake. Wow, you've got fake. Awesome, man. Yeah, that's fake.
I've got this one on the wall.
Yeah, do it. Well, Mark's got it on his wall. Yeah, there's Mark's fake. I didn't think about that. I should really have always shipped 2 copies of each one so you could put one on your wall and keep one. But that's actually Miss Ballistic, if you're interested.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Carly. That's Miss Ballistic. That's somebody drew her face, and that's her hair. That's why it's creepy as fuck. Because it's a drawing with hair. Zines were this wonderful way of keeping in contact, and it was this wonderful literature. And if you dig around, you'll find them still I like doing zines. The thing that puts me off doing a zine is it takes time, and two, no one gives a fuck. I have done 10, 15 zines or something, I don't know, and I've printed thousands. Angelspit started because Amelia and I ran a zine distro called Vox Populus, and then it was huge. There were like 1,000 different zines in Vox Populus, and we would be doing orders all day. I'd come home from work, I'd be doing orders. And they were great because we made a little zine that had a picture of each zine in it and a brief rundown. And then it was like, we'd send that out to everyone. And we'd actually get people to put them in their zines. And the thing is, you'd tick the boxes of the ones you wanted. You'd put cash in there, and you'd post it back to us. And we were getting people from the US, from Europe, sending euros and US dollars back to us in Australia. We'd do their orders and send them out. And it was great. And so zine culture is a thing. It's if you sniff around in your city, you'll find, well, once we're out in public again, you will find zine markets, zine stalls. It is a very underground thing now, but it's there, and it's so cool because what people write in zines is different to what they write online. It's a different ethos. You're not gonna get canceled by the algorithm or other people or banned or blocked. It's a zine, and if you don't like it, use it as toilet paper. And I actually think it's great fun doing a zine, and I should do a zine. I was going to do a zine for this album. But, you know, you put your thoughts and your diaries and images and stuff like that. You can digitally do it, or you can Xerox print it. If you've got a laser printer, laser printers can do a lot of, you know, they can print a lot of stuff off one cartridge. Like, you'll probably do hundreds. And if you get them done at a print shop, you know, if you do it right, they're actually quite cheap to make. But what you put in them is different. It's a different kind of, it's real, because it's a real contact between you and the person reading it. And whenever I used to do a zine, you know, you'd make 10 or 50 or something. If it was a hot zine, you'd make 100. But yeah, I say do it. It's fun. Maz.
Hey, I just wanted to say my experience with zines is through like the Toronto queer community. Like, there's been a bunch of zine markets, and it's just a really cool way for like queer people to talk about their experiences and like do some doodles and share stuff with other people and like talk about weird gender stuff or whatever it is, and pretty cool. And then I also wanted to say I remember buying from Angelspit like this tiny little zine that was just filled with these little zoogisms.
Long and thin one?
Yeah.
Pleasure species.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my experience.
Cool. Also, so N, who did who contributed to Fake Zine, and she N also does the they do the cover of the last two Angelspit albums.
Yeah,
and this T-shirt,
cool.
and N is active in the queer, I think, in Toronto, because N makes a zine. So you might know N. N's pretty awesome.
I know that they're in a relationship with another drag king that is a very cool drag king named Manny Dingo. Yeah.
Cool. But if you ever get a chance to hang out with N is amazing. Because N's from Malaysia, and it's not okay being queer in Malaysia. So N's got a story, and N's a fucking rock star. I've known N since N was like 15 or something.
Cool.
So there's like, I don't know. Yes. So zines all the way. Was there anything else you wanted to add, or will I throw it to Alex, the esteemed Alex?
Okay, further question. How many people would usually collaborate, and do you split profits, or do you have some, or is it just not-for-profit endeavor? What's like the back end of it?
You're not going to make any money out of it. And you're going to come together and make it for shits and giggles because you're going to sell 10 or 20 copies. And it's going to cost probably the same amount to make them if you're going to go down to Kinko's and photocopy the fucking thing, or you're sending them away. You know, the first thing is you have to have an audience, and remembering that our audience, it's really funny because I got kind of into the zine at the same time that I got into the goth scene. Zinesters are... Zine people buy zines. Goths don't buy zines. And that's a real generalization, and I apologize for that, but it's something I've noticed. That, you know, obviously if somebody's not into that, or the culture doesn't go, let's buy cars, then they're not going to buy cars. You know, people get into certain scenes. You know, sure, there are some people who are into it, but, you know, on a whole, not really. If you bundle it with a CD or something, sure, maybe people will buy it then. Yeah, there's no profits to split, and just, you know, if everybody just hammers into them with like a similar content, like with fake, it was, what is fake? What does fake mean? What's it all about? With the whole fakeness of the world and society and everything else. Get on into it. Yeah, so it's a fun artistic collaboration, and you know, all you have to do is give me something the size of a business card, and it can have text on it or images or whatever you want. 300 dpi, 4 inches by 6 inches, boom. And remember, 4 inches by 6 inches is if you get a piece of A4 and you fold it in 4, that's kind of 4 by 6. So a little zine, you get what I mean? All right, hold on a minute. Ow. Hold on. Let me explain. So, a piece of paper. So what you're going to do with your zine is you're going to put one page. There's 8 pages. Then you're going to cut it right down the middle with the guillotine. So pretend I've just cut it in half. So pretend that's in half, and now that's... Then you're going to fold it there like that. And there's your zine, pretending that those pages are cut. So you've got content. Look at that. That's an 8-page zine right there from one piece of paper. And that's roughly 4 inches by 6 inches. So if you say to everybody, come back to me with something that's 4 inches by 6 inches, there it is. Now, if you want to do something really cool, you get a piece of red card, you design a front cover, and you design a back cover, which might have thank yous and a website on it, and then you've got a cover. So you've got 8 pages on the inside and a cover. And it's that simple. And then if you want to make a 16-page zine, it's 2 pages stuck together. So they're really fun. I used to do stuff like this facial, like, you know how this page has been intentionally left blank? I'd write this facial expression has been intentionally left blank right there. So they go, oh, wow, man, that's so arty. And they're really fun. Like, you might do a zine and it's got lyrics to a song, your thoughts of it. You might have squigglings about the sounds you created, or notes about whatever. Then you might take some really cool arty photos and you might push the contrasts of them, because when you print them on black and white, you want high contrast. Or you might get it professionally printed, or printed in a Kinko's where it's color. There's so much you can do with them. They're fucking awesome fun. And the king of zines is a guy named David Carson. David Carson did a magazine called Ray Gun. Write this down, David Carson, Carson. And look at the magazine Ray Gun. Ray Gun is the greatest magazine that has ever been made, because he attacked it with a zine aesthetic. And the artwork that he did in Ray Gun, it was a skateboarding magazine that is the coolest design I have ever seen, besides what they were doing in the Bauhaus with Earl Lozitsky and all those guys, like in the fucking 20s. It is revolutionary cool. He's still alive. He's in California. He now runs this huge advertising company, because there's no box. So this guy doesn't have to think outside the box. And so much of what he did in Ray Gun was scalpel cutting into stuff, typewriters. This guy basically invented the grunge look. He invented it. But I strongly urge you to research a magazine called Raygun by the designer David Carson, and it will blow your mind. Because other cool things you can do with Zine is, instead of printing onto paper, print onto overhead transparency paper. So you'll have something that might be an image on top of a paper page of text. Or there's velour, I think it's called velour, which is kind of, or vellum or something. It's like this see-through paper, and you can print onto it. Because then you start going down the rabbit hole with zines of, I want to use some really cool paper. So you look at really cool paper online, and it might be half transparent or all transparent or whatever. And you start fucking around with this shit. Then you might get into the way it's actually bound. So instead of using a long arm stapler, wait. Where's my long arm? Okay. Shit. This is how legit I am. This is what's called a long arm stapler. So the thing about a long arm stapler, and if you're a legit zinester, you've got a long arm stapler, is a normal stapler is only that long. But because of the long arm, I can put a great big long piece of paper in, and I can clip it all the way down the end here. So this is really useful that when I am making the zines and I need to put a staple there, boom, long arm stapler lets me do it. If I was going to do a long version, boom, I can do it with the long arm stapler. You'll also need a guillotine, and you can get them pretty cheap. A paper guillotine for, like, I don't know, whatever. Don't cut your fingers though. But the other thing is the binding, and that is some people actually sew them closed. They'll run down it with a sewing machine. Some people stitch them closed. Some people put binding tape over it. A zine is the most... It's really funny. This is like reinvigorating my mind. The zines are a fantastic way of, how am I going to make this one little thing here that looks ultra cool? And you've already got stuff to fill it. You've already got lyrics. You've already got images. You've already got all of this stuff. So you can do it if you want. Just remember, you might not sell very many, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe you just do them for free and give them out to your friends. Or post them to your friends. And remember, a zine that thick, that will, in the United States, you can ship that with a forever stamp. And don't make it too complex. Have fun. Rob.
Yeah, I've been there and done that and loved it. I miss it, actually.
Yeah.
I did it in the mid-90s. I did it for punk and grunge rock scene in my hometown in Australia. Every 2 weeks, my buddy would go scout, get all the articles, get all the material together, get sponsorship from businesses that wanted to advertise in the zine. And then he would say, "Hey, Rob, what are you doing Saturday? Can we go into your office? Can we use your employer's equipment?" Shh. So I did that shit for as long as I could get away from it. Every second Saturday, we'd be in my work using the printer full time, using the staplers and the guillotine, and I would be doing all of the graphic layout. So I'd be in Quark or Publisher, putting all the articles in, trying to get the photos to look right in black and white because color was expensive. And then every now and then he would get a sponsor to either cover the color front cover, or the ads would be in color, or maybe a band photo would be in color. So we'd have to set that up especially just to print that part out on a color printer. Because nobody had that stuff, like I said, it was this big corporate Australia was paying for all of that. Shh. So I got away with it for as long as I possibly could. And then it was all non-profit. So he would manage the distribution as well. He would do drops in all of the local bars and pubs and clubs. He would go to markets. He would get distribution, shopping mall, car parks, all that sort of stuff. He would take care of all of that. I was just like the production guy. And then I started doing it for the queer underground community, who really wanted to control their audience really tightly, and said, "Rob, you cannot share any of this information. There will be ramifications in our country town." I was like, "Okay, whatever, cool. You bring me the articles and the photos and I'll lay them all out. I'll start cranking the handle." And And I hope that nobody at work finds anything left over in the printer on Monday morning. So I got away with it for years, and I freaking loved it.
Okay, it's funny that I was just realizing that the iTunes booklet, when you do an iTunes booklet or a digital booklet for a CD, the specs are very, very, very close to what you need to do for a zine. And I was just thinking, I should just be turning those damn things into zines. I'm sorry, Eric, just a really quick quick story. I used to work for the Department of Health. I'm going to mute my mic. And I didn't know anything about that, and I didn't get fired, so that's great. Thank you so much. Eric, go. This is very inspiring, by the way. Thank you. Eric.
Hello. Yeah, that's punk rock, man. And same thing with Rob. I did it in the 90s. Actually, Ray Gun was in the 90s. I remember. That's when, I don't remember the exact dates, but I remember getting that all the time in the 90s. And
you got it.
I don't have them anymore, but yeah, I had a couple.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're worth a mint.
What's that?
They're worth a mint. If you have a Ray Gun magazine, they're worth a fucking mint.
I remember specifically having a PJ Harvey one that I loved. Yeah, I don't know what happened to him over the last, whatever. But yeah, same thing as almost Rob. We actually had not necessarily sponsorships, but local businesses would give us money that had ads in the zines, and all of our zines were 4x6, and we gave them away for free at punk rock shows and industrial shows. It was a lot of fun. We printed at friends' houses. Whoever had printers and their parents weren't home, we'd go in there and print them on stuff like that, fold them up, staple them, and we get like whatever it was. If we had, it was different all the time. 5-6 shops or something, they would throw us each $5. That would be our money, and then whatever we put into it, and then every show we give the zines away. We never did color. Black and white we did everything in black and white. It was a lot of fun. It felt like you were doing something like illegal, but it's not really illegal. I don't know.
Yes, they made you feel like you were doing something naughty.
Yeah, like you're running like moonshine down, I don't know. But like you don't want to get caught doing it, and then you get to shows and you're distributing. It's almost like your propaganda or something you're putting out there, and people are reading this and going, "Yeah, man, fuck the system," and getting more people on board. Lots and lots of fun. All the punk rock kids, industrial kids. Yeah, we were all doing that. I think I did it between like 94, 95-ish to like 99. Then college hit, and then that.
Yeah.
And then that became that. But like, yeah, high school times, man. Lots and lots of fun. I wish it was still around nowadays, but I mean, they still are. But I mean, that kind of
culture.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, the whole swapping zines thing.
Yeah.
I used to go to fucking. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I used to go to zine fairs, with Vox, and I would go with a stack of my zines, and I would walk around swapping them, and I would come home with a stack of everyone else's zines.
Yep.
And it was so good. Oh my god. And I was just thinking two things. I want you to finish. Please finish, because I'm pushing in like a bastard.
The other thing I was just going to mention, I was going to put a link here in the chat. Here in Denver, Colorado, there's it's not maybe a zine by definition, but there is a magazine called Westworld, and I'll put it in the chat now. They actually have a website, and I haven't picked it up since the pandemic started because I just really haven't been leaving the house. But they're thick magazine, and it's completely free. Wherever you go in the shops in Denver, like local businesses and stuff have stacks of them there, and they print every week. So super thick, but like 75% of them are ads, because that's how they revenue to get the stuff out and give it away for free. And lots and lots of marijuana. I think that's like one of the biggest things in there. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it reminds me of just that old school. Like I said, they don't take money for it, so it's just that old school. Here, this is printed, read it. It's completely independent. They have independent writers write articles. They go to concerts. They write reviews on music. You can send your music in to get reviewed. Like, really dope. I really like what they're doing with that. And I've been out here for 10 years now. And since I moved out here, I've been grabbing that magazine. But then, like I said, the pandemic hit. So I think they're still free. I'm not really sure, but yeah, pretty cool.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank you, man. All right. Well, firstly, I'm going to say that zines are, sounds like this, because everyone's really excited. This is curious. It's the sort of thing that, you might offer for your Kickstarter, because remember, half of this content you've already got anyway. Secondly, MTV TV should do a zine. And I'd also like to point out, if you're watching this anywhere else, you didn't, the most amazing statement just got put in the chat here, which is from Brandon. Did I say that? Did I say your name right? Hold on. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Braden.
Braden. Okay. This is the greatest thing that anyone has ever said, typed ever. We used to sell ray gun in the mom and pop video shop that I worked in the 90s. Like, while I was wearing a Front 242 t-shirt, and everyone went, "Who's that band?" I think that's the greatest thing I've ever read. So this is really interesting. This is interesting because people are tapping into something. Alex, go.
Yeah, the reason because I was asking was because I was thinking about doing it myself, because I'm sort of struggling keeping my goals in order, and I'm losing myself. And I think if there would be more a sense of feminine community, and also like something I can work on low-key without, like if I make music, I need my full attention, but I can work on a design also on the side where I listen to something. So I was thinking of maybe starting something like that, either physically or just digitally, and either having a site or just an email list where I send people PDFs.
Okay, can I jump in really quickly? So, and I'm keeping an eye on the chats because there's some great stuff going on in here. So, as I said, paper, fold, fold. That's what the content for a typical zine, a small zine, right? It might take you a day. That might be you fucking around. So, Alex, as far as your thought process and everything else, if it fits there, you've got a page for your zine. And all you need is 8. I knew Kitten Hole was going to come up. All you have to do is come up with 8 of these. And you've got a zine, or 16. Now, if anybody makes a zine and they want to get rid of it for free, remember that myself and other people, MTV TV, for example, we do a lot of mail-outs. And if there's something cool like a zine to throw in that, fuck yeah, I will throw that in there. If the zine is easy to produce, I might even be able to produce it. I'm being really careful what I say because my time's kind of crazy as it is. But having said this, I might at some point maybe put a call out for that much content. And it could be a picture, it could be thoughts, something cool. I might make a zine. I might lay it out in InDesign, which I've done a million times, print it out on my printer, cut it up, boom, there's a zine. So they're very easy to do. And I've got a distribution way to make it happen. So if you want to do this, do it. Or if you want to contribute to it, let me know. I'm going to shut up now because Maz's hand's up.
Hello, I just remembered my other experience with the zines. It would be like reading them in punk house bathrooms. There would always be a nice big stack of zines, and you could just like, if you're like in there hungover, you can just like get nice and read up on what to do if you're arrested, or how to help with overdoses, or like
how to build a bomb.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of those.
So yeah, very nice to read those there because like those can't be published anywhere else, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, when I say bomb, I mean like whiskey, beer. Oh, sorry, beer, whiskey. Let's call the bomb. Yeah. But no, there's a lot of legal information and civil liberty information that that gets zines are perfect for that. I have back in Australia, I have a box, like this huge box stuffed with zines, and they're all the little ones. And some of it's people just writing poetry or, talking about how they feel. Other people are getting right the fuck into it. And there was actually a zine about making zines, which is called the Stolen Sharpie Revolution. Alex, I want you to research this. The Stolen Sharpie Revolution. The Stolen Sharpie Revolution. And it's from Canada, incidentally.
Nice.
The Stolen Sharpie Revolution. And I don't know if you can get them anymore, but it was how to make a zine. It was a zine about making zines, and it'll blow your mind. It's just so inspiring. Mez, I feel like I interrupted you. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, I just also wanted to, because you mentioned like sewing up the binding and stuff, and that reminded me of my buddy that lived at the punk house, that he was an author, and he did his novel like sort of zine style. Like he printed out the pages, like it was like this thick, and did cardboard on the top and back for the front and back covers, and bound it with electrical wiring. And it was just the coolest thing.
If the zine got really thick, you do that, but you drill a hole through it and put a bolt.
Bolt.
drill with a bolt holding the whole thing together.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh yeah, and you'd use the cover would be pieces of driftwood, or there are no limitations here. Like this, this was, it was the most wonderful thing, and it's gone. I mean, I'm sure it still exists. But yeah, Alex, could you put that link? If you have a link to the Stolen Sharpie Revolution, it's $15 on Amazon.
I only have the German Amazon, so
I'll put it up. Throw it into the if you can, throw it into Twitter, Twitch if you can, because this shit's interesting. Thanks, Maz. And that drum machine, by the way, will just sort perfectly because it's analog. Rose.
So yeah, I definitely was into zines back in the day. Even if it's dating myself to say so, I don't care. And it was funny because I was like the treasurer for the gay and lesbian union in my college for the entirety of the time that I was there. And we had one that was called, since I was the treasurer, I was in charge of where money got spent. So I definitely put money towards the zine. It was called Anything That Moves, and it was a play on like, people that were bi were like, oh, you'll fuck anything that moves. You know what I mean? Nowadays, bi is not the term that's more popular. Now, I guess it would be pan now or whatever. But anyway, back then it was just straight up bi, whatever. But yeah, it was a whole thing all about that. It had like, would have stories from different people, poetry, artwork. It was really, really cool. It was just like a really cool way to feel like, part of this community that spans like all over, I think it was actually created in like the West Coast. And I was really sad when they stopped, they like went out of production and stuff. And I was like, no, this was the one for me. Cause everything else was like gay or lesbian. And this was like the one thing that I was like, this one's mine, And I made a zine for my old band. And we would like, give it away at shows and stuff because we were actually blogging before blogging was like a thing to do. And, I just write about stuff I saw around the city, shows I went to, movies, whatever, and I was like, oh, it'd be pretty cool if we just like encapsulated this into like a little zine, kind of like the one that we get at, the Gay and Lesbian Union. So I did exactly the way that you just showed, Carl. It was like, folded in half again. I'd lay it out in Photoshop and just, figure out which setting was the best for my wonky ass home printer, like, okay, it has like a slight, 5-degree tilt, you have to make up for that, and then we would just totally DIY it and stuff. And, somebody else who did something really cool with that was along those lines was actually Voltaire. Voltaire used to do, Voltaire's a New York goth musician that some of you guys might be familiar with. But he actually did something really creative. He would have like for flyers for his show, he had like a little story that would go along. And it was like a story of these people trying to get to his show. you know, and you'd find out at the show like how they got there, you know, and then that ended up ended up turning that into a comic book called Oh My God. So yeah, really neat, fun stuff that that came from that whole culture. That was really interesting and really fun, and I definitely miss that. I miss the creativity of that and putting stuff together. So that's definitely something that I'm going to consider for that Kickstarter, because it's definitely something I can easily do. I have like shit tons of art and drawings and scribbles and prose, you know, that it's just sitting around anyway. So yeah, why not? Why not make it into a really cool zine? I think that's really fun.
So my advice, thank you, is make sure that it's black and white. Make sure the background is white, not black, because it uses a lot of ink. I'm doing the Kickstarter for a glass jar in about a month. And the age group is an age group that is familiar with zines and zine culture. So if you want to send me something that is 4x6, I should measure it. Basically get a piece of paper and divide it by 4. And it's got to be up and down ways.
A piece of paper is 4 1/4 by 4 1/2 or 5 1/2.
Say that again. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2.
Yes, that's what a piece of paper actually is.
All right, thank you, sir. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna make it. Can we make it 4 by 5? Because I'm gonna need some bleed. All right. On a white background, 300 DPI. Email it to me. And I'll put it into this scene. Yeah. Because fuck it. So it can be your thoughts and you know, whatever you want. I'm not going to fucking make rules except 4 by 5, 300 DPI. Yeah. Cool. Fun. And it can be a vector or a raster. So you can actually export it as a PDF, or you can export it as an actual image file, and that would be fun because you could rip into it, kind of like how Raygun ripped into stuff. I was also going to mention that a lot of libraries that are currently open have books that they throw away, and there's always a box of books that are about to be thrown, and you can go through and just grab picture books, cut them up, and utilize them as well. So yeah, Alex, thanks for bringing this up. This is really fun. This is a really fun conversation that we've had. We're crawling close to time now. We might call it and disappear backstage and talk about bots and the dead internet. Or if there's anything else that anyone wants to bring up that's kind of short, please. Okay. I'm going to call that time. So, Diana, let's rate to MTV TV. Because amazing shit is waiting at MTV TV. Your favorite band is going to be on there today, and you don't even know who they are yet. You are going to discover a new amazing band, and if you're in a band, email MTV TV, and they'll play your video, as long as it's a video. So jump on, because this community is all about having fun. Damn fucking straight. And right now we need some fun, don't we? All right, you guys rock. Bye. See you next week. Bye. Bye.